Okay, Maddie, whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Alright, so my IOP is on how Gilead perpetuates loss of identity through apathy and rebellion, which is seen with Moira and Offred. So my thesis is Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale uses juxtaposition to highlight the difference in how Moira and Offred react to the oppression faced by women in Gilead. By presenting Moira as a foil to Offred's passivity, Atwood shows the reader how Offred's passivity is a logical reaction to the oppression and abuse she faces, because no response could have changed their fate under totalitarian government, and in fact the responses demonstrate their oppression. Ultimately, the two characters' resistance is futile because they both are forced into loss of identity despite their different ways of dealing with their oppression. How each reacts to oppression. So even before Gilead became Gilead, when it was still America, Offred and Moira were very different. Offred was very outspoken, while Moira was very outspoken, while Offred was quiet. Moira was a lesbian, which tend to be like relationships where they favor like emotion, while Offred was straight and she was with a man who she felt didn't always understand her. Moira was a feminist, and dressed like immodestly, while Offred wouldn't speak out and just kind of conformed to society. But once Gilead begins as a society and they're taken to the Red Center, their differences in how they react to their oppression really starts to juxtapose the two characters. Offred, we are able to better understand things that are described through contrast, and we're better able to understand how submissive Offred is being when we can see it against how outspoken Moira was, with how she rebelled twice, and in the second time was successful in getting away until she's later caught. So, what does Moira represent to Offred? What do you think? Jake?
At the beginning, I think she represented like the fight back. I think at the end she represented failure.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So I agree with you, and I also say Moira was a symbol for hope. Atwood writes, Moira was like an elevator with open slides. She made us dizzy. Already we were losing the taste for freedom. Already we were finding these walls secure. In the upper reaches of the atmosphere, you come apart, you vaporize, there would be no pressure holding you together. So this shows how Moira was willing to rebel, willing to speak out, which you don't see it from any other character in the entire book. She's willing to destroy herself, to go against this totalitarian government who's keeping her down, and this is inspiring to Offred, and Offred's able to live through her, which really perpetuates Offred's passivity throughout the novel, because she's able to live her life through Moira. Secondly, Atwood writes, Moira was our fantasy. In the light of Moira, the aunts were less fearsome and more absurd. Moira didn't reappear. She hasn't yet. So this shows how Moira was what the handmaids, they saw her as a symbol of hope, because she was able to get away, and that was something they'd always seen as impossible under the society, that's all. How the responses cause their oppression. So Offred is passive throughout this book. So in the society, there was no hope for her. In the society, being submissive, women being submissive is what's expected. So her not fighting back is perpetuating these societal standards. And Offred claims in her head, we hear her claim every day, that she is unhappy, but and that she's bored, but we never hear her speak out. Then with Moira. So Moira's response to oppression, speaking out, also causes her oppression, because Moira is fighting out to be able to be sexual and be a woman, but then this society fights back against her by sexualizing her even more, making her into a Jezebel, a prostitute, and her oppression is basically wasted under the society because it didn't work. Okay. Question for the audience. How have Moira and Offred changed their mindset about their oppression from the beginning to end of the text? Like how, so, do you guys understand? Yeah.
Well, kind of in the beginning and towards the middle of the text, Moira was more that, oh, I'm going to get out, I'm not really going to be oppressed by this, I don't believe in this, I'm going to get back to being me who I am. And she acts on that, and she does get as far as she could before she was captured. Now then, that's where her oppression changed, because she was put to face with a choice of either going to be kind of more so like a prostitute at Jezebel's, or basically kind of dying. So that's when she had to sit there and think about it as in, okay, what I'm thinking is not working. So that's where she changes and kind of becomes more oppressed to the Republic in that sense. And then, but it's kind of reversed as an Offred because, well, not really, because Offred believed and saw it more as some type of inspiration until towards the end of the book. But you can't really, like we said before, you can't really compare Offred to Moira anyway, because she has her own mind and her own insight of she's not really oppressed, but she's like determined for the whole purpose is her daughter. So like she's not really oppressed, but she's like in allude to like the Republic until she gets what she wants. So, but then in the end, when she like goes into the band, you see a whole different side of Offred, more of a confidence. That's why I feel like they played that song and they put that we want to.
Yeah. Jada?
Oh, I was gonna suggest that Keyshawn said when Moira became more passive and Offred became more.
Okay, good, yeah. So how each loses identity. So they are each foil characters for each other all the way through the book. Like I said, like Moira really represents like fighting back, and, while Offred represents like passivity. And we see this throughout the entire book until the end, where they both like lose their identity and are kind of like forced into the new identities that Gilead has, this totalitarian government that Gilead has placed on them. I mean, from the beginning, they're stripped from their identity, but they're able to, they keep it until the end, until I feel that they both truly give up. So this quote demonstrates Offred, how Offred gives up at the end, where she says, "I used to think of my body as an instrument of pleasure, or a means of transportation, or an implement for the accomplishments of my will. Now the flesh arranges itself differently. I'm a cloud, congealed around a central object, the shape of a pear, which is hard and more real than I am, and glows red within its translucent wrapping." Page 91. So Offred used to see herself like she used to fight back like with the hope of her child and her family, but now she sees that this fight isn't getting her anywhere. Like this internal battle that she's been fighting isn't getting her anywhere. Like she's fought this whole time. And then later she says, "I'm wasting my time. I should have taken things into my own hands when I had the chance." That's about killing herself. Killing herself after she's been caught with having the makeup. The makeup has been caught on, like, you know, Serena Joy found the makeup on her robe, and this is about her killing herself, which goes against what Offred was fighting for the entire book, and shows how she has lost her identity, because because Offred was fighting for her old life back, and now she's given that all away. And then about Moira's lost identity, Atwood writes, I'd like her to end things with something daring and spectacular, some outrage, something that would benefit her. As far as I know, that didn't happen. So Moira leaves us in the book just as a Jezebel, and this highly goes against her identity, because we've seen her the whole book fighting back, even like beating wives, like willing to fight, willing to do anything for her freedom. And here we see her just having given up, and like she has accepted her role as a Jezebel in the society. In conclusion, both Moira and Offred react in different ways to their oppression, through apathy or violence. but both are end up beaten down in the same way by the totalitarian government. They both have accepted their new roles in their life and have stopped fighting back, and accepted this label that as a surrogate and a prostitute. And I believe that this loss was inevitable in this totalitarian state because it works the whole time. This totalitarian state works to beat them down. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, does anybody have questions for Maddie?
How long did you do this?
What? Oh. I don't know, an hour and a half.
So I have a question about, unsurprisingly, I have a question about, so the conclusion. Do you feel like, so we know at the end, Offred goes out and she says, into the darkness or perhaps the light. So the end in the primary text is kind of left unresolved, and then we find out through the historical notes that Offred actually does end up escaping. Does that change your reading of her at all, or?
It does in a way, but I feel like even if she does end up escaping, she's still given up. At the end, nonetheless, she's still, I'm sure, probably her opinion would change. She would choose to fight once she knew that she could make it, but she still has succumbed to this oppression. All right, thank you.
Okay. All right.